Hey man, how you doing? So I heard you're having problems, man, that you're thinking about giving up. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not what you should do. You know, I know it's hard, especially when you're starting something new. You know, a lot of times you start on this thing, right? And you feel like this is really your calling, and you start doing it, and at first you're really motivated to get this thing done. And all of a sudden, right, your motivation just dies out, and then you kind of just feel like you're going through the motion. And then at some point you start questioning why you even started, right? That it'd be easier just to let it go and essentially go back to the way things were. But that's one thing to remember. Remember why you started. Remember that the whole reason it started was because you wanted to be different. You wanted change in your life. This is what you should keep in mind. Now, I know it's not always easy. I know motivation is hard to find. And a lot of times, sometimes you just may need a break. Maybe you've been doing this routine for such a long time. You may be burning out. Maybe you need to limit those things in your life in which you need to be focusing on. A lot of times you can be spread too thin, but how much of a priority is this thing that you've been putting so much time and effort into? Is this the thing that you want to help change your life? That's what you got to remember. You can't just throw it away. You've dedicated a lot of time and energy into this thing. It should mean a lot to you. You've made it priority for a while. I know sometimes, you don't get those results, right? You may get a little bit of results, and you may have been able to be motivated by those results. Then you feel like it's just kind of getting stagnant. But you have to remember, right? Once you get that ball rolling, it will take a little bit of time. You will see some progress, and especially when you first start out, because you are motivated, you'll see some progress. But you have to understand that it's not going to be, consistent, not all the time. It'll have lulls, and it'll have times when it's doing much better, right? You'll see better results because you are growing, you are learning as you're going. And that's the whole thing about starting this new thing, starting this new routine, is that you're excited because it's something new. And you have to remain excited and remember why you started. It's a learning process. You'll find something that will spark your motivation again. And for the longest time, you don't want to turn around and regret the fact that you started something that could have been something great if you would have just stuck to it. Now remember all those times, right? How many times have you started something and we've come to the same point and you just let it go? And then you look back on it, right? And then you kind of like, man, if I would have just kept going, where could I have been at this point? That's what's to keep in mind. That's what should drive you, motivate you to keep you going down this direction. It's not always easy. It can be rough. You sacrifice a lot, and I understand that. Sometimes, you sacrifice a lot and you feel like maybe it's not worth it anymore because you're not seeing the results right away. And a lot of times it takes many, many months, if not years, to make, great results. But we have to also remember how much effort are we actually putting in it, right? Because I know even for myself, you get to a point where you start losing that motivation and it feels like your effort is also going down with that motivation. And sometimes you just got to look at it again and reevaluate it, right? How much do you really want it? Because if you really want it, you'll make it a priority and you won't let it go. Because it's not considered a failure until you let it go, until you give up. And you don't want to give up. There's a reason for this whole thing. You have the motivation. I know sometimes it can be hard. And maybe you have a support system around you. Maybe you don't. But ultimately, it's going to come down to you. It's going to come down to, being courageous. It's going to come down to motivating yourself. It's going to come down to sacrificing a lot of things in your life to get those things that you want. But you realize that, once you achieve those things, that it was worth the sacrifices. It was worth being brave. It was worth doing all these things that took you out of your comfort zone to essentially get you that result, right? The thing you've always wanted, that thing you were dreaming about. That's why you continue. That's why you continue going through the motions. Yes, there'll be days where you do just go through the motions, and it can be really rough. But sometimes you just maybe need to take yourself out of the element a little bit. Refocus, get re-motivated to why you started. Don't just drop everything altogether. You have put a lot of effort in, you have done all these different things to get to this point. Look back at what you've done to this point. You have sacrificed a lot. You have put a lot of time, energy, and effort in this thing. Keep it going. If you believe in it, you need to keep it going. You may get encouragement, you may get motivation from other things from time to time, and you notice that burns out after a while. It's going to come down to you. But that's okay, because you got it. And this is going to be that thing that you finish. Because you're tired, you're fed up. After all those other failed attempts, right? Some were successful, maybe some weren't. But you have to remember why you started this. You've put a lot of time into this. Time you're not going to get back. But you've made progress. You just got to keep building that momentum. You will get there. Results will show. Don't be discouraged. I know it can be hard. I know sometimes it can be lonely. Sometimes you feel like the oddball because of the fact that you're doing things that other people aren't doing around you. And sometimes that can be hard to look past, but there's a reason for this. There's a reason why you started this. There's a reason why you are doing this. Just remember that. You got it. Find the motivation. Take a break. Go out. Get out and do something for a couple of days. Come back to it, I think a lot of times that helps. A lot of times being away, you kind of, you miss things. You miss doing the work, right? You miss going out and expressing yourself or whatever it is that you are doing to build whatever it is that you are trying to build. Whether that's your health or whether that's, your business or your book or whatever you're doing. It's important to keep yourself focused on that thing. Don't just drop it so you can go back to the way things were. There's a reason why you started it. So encourage yourself. Take that break. A lot of times when you take that break, you find that you're excited to go back, that you missed it. And then you'll go back with a newfound energy, newfound motivation that will continue to push you forward. That's what you want. Don't just give up. It's too much, right? You started at this point that it was too much. Something changed, something clicked in you. That's why you started this. Because you knew that you were fed up. That's why you started. You're fed up with whatever it was that you were dealing with. Now you're making progress. That motivation, it comes and it goes. Not always easy. But just keep it going. You got it, and I'm here to back you up. Because I believe in you that you can complete it. You can finish this thing. Don't give up. Keep pushing forward. And you will see it through. And I will see you on the other side.